All right, thanks for tuning in. My name is Dave. This is The Radical Independent. Again, I don't like to ask people for donations to this channel, but I am trying to put a lot of effort into providing some content each day. I am trying my best to keep Tulsi Gabbard's name out there. Keep in mind, every time I do a video where Tulsi Gabbard is in the title, somebody is using Google somewhere on planet Earth, and they may stumble upon Tulsi Gabbard maybe for the first time. With the way the media has treated Tulsi Gabbard, it is crucial that we continue to talk about Tulsi. Again, I did change the name of this channel because I didn't want Tulsi to think I was just using her to build a channel. So I wanted to be clear to people that I am the Radical Independent. I'm not Mr. Save America, vote Tulsi Gabbard. I am just a guy who realized that Tulsi Gabbard, without question, is the best presidential candidate in my lifetime, and I will continue to spread the word about her, because clearly the media isn't going to do it. Progressives who are out there with channels, they tend to focus on a lot of topics. They tend to focus on the tribalism, sometimes even amongst themselves, which is just crazy. We've only got so much time to do this, and I have told people that if for some reason Tulsi doesn't get the nomination, and then I turn, say, to Bernie and look for Bernie to get the nomination, and neither of those two candidates get the nomination, then I will try to promote a third way. I'll try to find another candidate and do daily videos for that candidate talking about what they said, what their platform is, why they're better than the establishment candidates that will be foisted upon us. We know we're going to get Donald Trump unless Bill Weld or Joe Walsh can come up with a miracle, which ain't going to happen, people. It's going to be Trump versus either Biden or Warren, most likely. And if that does occur, like I said, this channel will kick into gear promoting all of the anti-establishment candidates that I can possibly find. And I don't care what party they're in. I don't care if they're not on the ballot in all 50 states. We'll work for that goal. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to keep Tulsi Gabbard in the news. Tulsi Gabbard here talking about the cost of standing up for peace.
They were called un-American. They were told they were unpatriotic. They were told, well, you must love that brutal dictator Saddam Hussein because you voted against this war. It's popular today to say, yes, of course I was against the war in Iraq.
That's right. 100%.
It's an easy thing for politicians to say today. But what about standing up courageously and speaking against the regime change wars that are happening today?
And here's another little add-on to the point she just made. In 2003 and 2004, there was a real anti-war sentiment in this country. John Kerry, who really wasn't anti-war, but he took that mantle and he used his past when he came back from Vietnam, and would he throw the medals away or something to that effect, if I recall. And a lot of people in the media, especially the conservative media, because I was there at that moment and listening to those people, they were talking about how Kerry was unfit for command and so forth because he had protested against one of the worst wars in our history. Probably the best thing about John Kerry, when you think about it, he's just another establishment politician otherwise. But there was a real anti-war sentiment back in 2004. But it wasn't enough to overcome the fake patriotism of the military-industrial complex. It wasn't enough. Because people, like she said, would say, well, you're not patriotic. Well, wait a minute. Dissent is patriotic. Being American means that I don't have to agree with overlords who are giving me false information so more people can go off to war and die. See, this is very serious stuff. Even if you're not for any of the economic proposals that progressives and Greens and other people put forward, if you don't think we should have a green economy, okay, that's another video and another topic that we can go over. But if you're for continuing perpetual war that doesn't make us safer and that bankrupts our country and that creates a problem on the streets of America, whether that be through homelessness, whether that be through infrastructure, whether that be through public safety in communities, even policing. Now you may say, well, the police, they're getting tons of money. No, all they're getting is old military hardware so they can militarize the police more. And that's not the same thing as keeping citizens safe. That's making the police more like the military, which makes people even more afraid of their own government to some degree. Tulsi Gabbard here has tapped into something very important in this little video about peace. Standing up for peace is really the most courageous thing you can do right now. It is. And it's the most risky, and it's also the most politically damaging when you look at what society, what the mainstream media does, what the establishment says about you after you do such a thing.
The tactics are the same. They've been used time and time and time again. That if you are a dissenter, if you speak for peace, if you speak against regime change wars, you speak against the military-industrial complex, you speak to those who are in power, they will immediately attack and question your loyalty. The gall that these people have now today to try to smear me and tell me that I don't love my country, that my oath and loyalties lie anywhere but to the country and to the people I have sworn to put my life on the line for, is offensive, not just to me, because it raises a red flag for every one of us. That if you are a dissenter, if you speak for peace, if you speak against regime change wars, you speak against the military-industrial complex, you speak to those who are in power, they will immediately attack and question your loyalty.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Our country is literally on its head right now. I have the little flag logo on this page. It's upside down. It's because I believe the country is in distress. Because we've gone past the point of no return in a couple of areas. Right now, some people would say that our pollution levels, our carbon levels, our fossil fuel levels, and I was a skeptic for many years. But it's hard to argue with Category 5 hurricane every single time. Every single time a storm develops where there are favorable conditions, it seems to go to a 5. And that wasn't always the case. Now you could say, oh, we have better methods of tracking these things now, but things are different. Things seem to be different. Temperatures in June across the entire globe were hotter than ever. Trump wants to buy Greenland because it's thawing out. It's literally thawing out, and it's a reason it was called Greenland, because in the past it might have actually been green. And some people would say, well, it's a cycle. Well, guess what? We're creating a cycle. Or even if you're not under the impression that we're causing the problem, you still have to look at it as a problem. Migrants are seeking safety. A lot of times they're seeking safety, by the way, because the United States is engaged in sanctioning countries, in destabilizing regions, and then we've created a problem. and then we push it back on these migrants and people that are coming here. I'm not saying every migrant that comes here has the same motive, but I'm telling you a lot of them are just looking to survive. Okay? And it's people like Tulsi Gabbard who have called out the establishment for creating these problems and going around the world. We are doing a military-based economy on the backs of migrants and people all across the world. A lot of brown people, a lot of black people who did nothing wrong, who are living in the third world, rather than us propping up and helping the third world with humanitarian aid. Instead, we destabilize regions, we take out dictators, we replace them with another dictator. I don't know. Diplomacy might be a better idea, right? We've tried all the other stuff, and it doesn't seem to work. We've been doing this for over a half a century. And we're doing it because we have an economy that's failing right now because it's transitioning because of technology. So we're trying to prop up the service industries and the military in the sense that those things are going to save us when they're not. We should be transitioning to a green-based economy like FDR would do, probably, because that will save the planet, number one. Number two, it will create probably limitless opportunities for people who have few opportunities or inadequate education. We should be retooling our education system as we know it as well. We should be doing all of these things, and we should be doing it immediately rather than doing what we've been doing for the past half century. That is why Tulsi Gabbard is such a unique candidate, because she's positioned as one with authority on these issues because of what she's seen, her education, where she's been, the kind of things she did when she was younger as far as literally cleaning up beaches and going around and taking matters into her own hands. When the government wasn't doing it, she mobilized people in her community and said, hey, let's just get together and do this. And that's what you and I have to do right now, supporting Tulsi Gabbard and seeing this process through. And then my guess is this process is going to hurt us at the end. It's going to go counter to us because it's just too big for us to just, go down the same road every time and think we're going to get a different result. Obviously, the definition of insanity. So we have to all be prepared at the end of this to say, okay, if Tulsi's going to stay loyal because she took a pledge, okay, I can see that's part of her idea of being, having integrity. That's what that is. It's having integrity. But it doesn't mean that we're all going to sit around and be happy about it when the establishment does to her what it did to Bernie Sanders. And probably it's going to do to Bernie Sanders what it did to Bernie Sanders last time. All right? People are very afraid of change that will help working class people. They're afraid of change that will mean that the rich in this country really do have to kind of say, okay, I've been blessed. I should be giving back. There's no mechanism right now that kind of forces me to give back, so I'm not going to give back. And meanwhile, people are suffering all over the planet because greedy people continue to get more greedy. Look, capitalism, it works when it's somewhat restrained and when there are controls and when people are generous with their time and their money. But you can't force generosity, apparently. You can't force moral behavior unless you put laws into effect that will do that. And by the way, I'm not advocating, and most people who call themselves Democrats, socialists, or whatever, none of those people are advocating that the government do a command and control economy where they control the means of production and all that stuff. Nobody is advocating for that. And that's the confusion that's out there. So again, thanks for tuning into this channel. Tulsi Gabbard showing courage on the campaign trail, not afraid of the establishment, not backing down, since being told that she can't participate in one debate so far. That may change because her supporters are very riled up people right now. They understand that there's so much at stake, and so does Tulsi. Tulsi's a fighter. This isn't Amy Klobuchar, okay? This isn't Kristen Gillibrand, all right? This isn't even Kamala Harris, who right now is just flailing, trying to find some kind of identity out there. This is someone who understands who they are, what their purpose is, and sees kind of like a higher calling to what they've done in the past. But these are all natural stepping stones to the next level. And quite honestly, you're not going to find a candidate like this probably ever again in your lifetime with these skill sets that are perfectly aligned for what the future holds. And imagine the quality people she would surround herself with, people who have like-minded values, people who aren't John Bolton or Mike Pompeo. I mean, I could go on because it's so obvious, but yet so many people don't see it, or they refuse to see it, or they're just afraid. They're afraid that this might actually work and the country might be unified. So that's my video today. If you can help me out over on Patreon, I'm looking for a few patrons. $1 a month is all it takes over on Patreon to support me in this channel. You can do any dollar amount you'd like over there, but I would like a few. I've had a few patrons fall off, mostly from my other channel, but I'm looking for a few to come on board over here to support the channel. You can also do one-time donations via PayPal, for any dollar amount you'd like, and that certainly is always grateful, and I'm always thankful for those, and I try to send out personal thank yous when that does occur. So again, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. Go Tulsi. She's fired up, and you should be too. See you soon.